Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Garden of Sports Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Gardner, alongside my brother, Jake Gardner.
Hello, hello.
And we're joined again this week by our friend and resident hockey expert, Sean Burke.
Hello there.
And we got a lot to go over today. We're going to go over some of the off-season signings and trades here for you guys. So we're just going to talk about all the big ones and just how it impacts fantasy, and if guys that were on other teams last year are going to be maybe as good on a different team this year. So we'll see how, who ended up in the best situations and all that. We'll just have a little discussion.
Yeah.
So we're going to start it off here with the off-season free agent signings. So start it off here. We're going to go off of average contract. So we're going to start with the players who got the biggest contracts, and we'll just work down from there until we think it's a good time to stop. When we get to when we hit a point where we're okay, these guys are
the people that don't
irrelevant.
Yeah. So it's all going to be based off of fantasy. So kick it off with Johnny Gaudreau. He went from the Calgary Flames to the Columbus Blue Jackets, signed a 7-year deal for $9.7 million a year. So obviously, I think that's a pretty big move. Calgary, I think they're still going to be good, but losing a guy like Johnny Gaudreau, who's a 100-point player, I think he still could be a 100-point guy over on Columbus because he's going to be with Patrick Laine. But what do you guys think? You think that's a good move?
Johnny Hockey?
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Hockey over on Columbus?
Yeah, that'll make him a lot better, and that'll make, who's the other forward there that you don't like, Zach?
Laine?
No, there's another one. Or I'm mixing them up.
I don't know about that, but Laine is the only other one that I really talk about over there on Columbus right now. But I think the two of them are going to obviously be top line together, and they'll be great. I mean, I think Gaudreau,
cash, but he's I don't know. I think you're just trading the apples for apples.
Yeah, kind of. I can see that.
Case. Yeah. I mean, you're going from a solid supporting cast to another solid supporting cast.
Right.
But you never know what he might have better chemistry with different players with Laine and.
Mm-hmm. And I think Gaudreau might, there's potential for him to get more assists or something if he passes the puck, because he's a good playmaker. He might, pass it over to Laine. I think it's definitely going to help Laine out. We just gotta see who's centering that line, because I think Columbus is weak in the center department, so we'll have to see how that shakes out. But easy top line over there. Next we got Nazim Kadri. Signed. He went from the Colorado Avalanche with his big, huge breakout year last year. Now he's on Calgary, 7 years, $7 million a year.
Regression.
You think so? Yeah, I kind of think so too. I don't know if I fully buy it. I think he was in the perfect situation last year, and I don't think Calgary is as good a team as Colorado was last season.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
that guy was. I still think he's going to be good, but he was definitely 100% a beneficiary of the players around him.
I totally agree, and he just made the most of it. In a contract year, I think.
He won his cup. He moved on.
Yeah, and so do you think the $7 million for 7 years? Do you think that's too big of a contract for him?
Yeah. Nazim Kadri is not a standout player on his own.
He's 32 years old already, which kind of surprised me. I didn't realize he was that old already.
Not on his own. He's not going to produce on his own. He needs the Nathan McKinnons of the world to be playing next to him.
Yeah. So do you think maybe he'll do something with Jonathan Huberto?
Oh, yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Definitely, and he's not going to be top, whatever he was, top 10, 15 like he was last year.
Ranked 54 on Fantasy Pros.
Yeah.
Going into this, or that was last year.
I think they're picking the regression out too, because he was definitely higher than top 54 this last season. He was great, but
I mean, a lot of perception of him right now is based on his playoffs last year.
yeah, which was pretty damn good still.
Like, I mean, he took a huge step up in the playoffs last year. I mean, he was significantly better.
Mm-hmm. And he's a big hitter too.
Yeah.
He's like a poor man's Evander Kane. Yeah, so yeah, Nazim Kadri, we're definitely picking him for regression, but I think a nice move for Calgary because they lost a bunch of guys and they had to get something, so they were able to scoop up Kadri toward the end of the off season because Kadri was dangling out there for a while and no one was signing him. And he finally went to Calgary, just a couple weeks ago. So
I think he had offers, but he was trying to play the field.
Yep. He was waiting for that $7 million.
Yeah.
Money talks. Next, we got another center, Vincent Trochek, going from Carolina. Now he's on the New York Rangers. 7 years and $5.6 million per year. I think it's a pretty good move. I think he went for.
He's going to a better. I don't know if he's going to a better team. Actually,
I think they're pretty similar, to be honest. I wouldn't say one's worse than the other. I think they're both similar situations.
Yeah, I've never really totally been sold on Vincent Trochek either.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had him on my fantasy team for the last 2 years, and he puts up decent points, but it's not like he's not a top 10 center in the league by any means.
And then one thing that was kind of interesting that I did read a lot on Trochek, he was in that bumper role on the power play on Carolina. With the one where you're kind of off to the side, like in the slot kind of area.
Yeah.
And that's the same, and that he's like really good there on the power play. And that's the same spot that Chris Kreider plays on the Rangers. And he had 30 power play points last season. They're obviously not going to take that spot away from Chris Kreider as like a elite at that spot. So Trochek might be on the power play too, or if he gets on the power play one, he's going to be in a different role than he's ever been, at least the last couple of years in Carolina. So do you think that'll affect his scoring at all? Do you think he might not be as valuable because he'll be on the second power play or just not in the same position?
I mean, if he's on the second power play, obviously his point totals are gonna regress, but NHL players are NHL players. They're gonna figure out ways to score regardless of what position they're playing on the power play or which power play they're on.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I would imagine that maybe if I think Chris Kreider, as much as I'm not the hugest fan of him, I recognize he's super, super mega talented. Was a power play specialist last year. Well, I don't know if he'll continue it again, but I think I would imagine he's a little more versatile than I think Trochek may be. So maybe they could move Kreider around a little easier than Trochek, and they'll just put Trochek in that bumper role. We'll just have to see what they do. I'm intrigued with Trochek on New York Rangers. I think he's an upgrade because he's basically going to be taking the Ryan Strome spot, and he's a clear upgrade over Ryan Strome, as far as centers go. So I think,
yeah, for sure.
So I just don't know about the power play, though. He was in a great power play spot over in Carolina. We'll just have to see how that plays out, but I'm intrigued with Trochek this year.
He's a good sleeper pick.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake?
Trochek?
Yeah. You like him, don't you?
I always like Trochek. I'm seeing he's ranked at like 21 at center. Yeah.
I think that's a good spot for him because center is by
24. Sorry.
He's been good for very consistent fantasy points. He's not going to get you 5-6 point games, but he's going to be fairly consistent throughout the whole season in fantasy leagues.
Yeah, he's like one of those reliable glue guys, Yeah. A guy that you're not always going to be looking at because you're not going to have the high numbers, but he's a guy you're not going to be. He's just a guy that you're always going to have in your lineup, and you're not going to worry about him. Yeah, Trochek. And then next here we on the list, I'm kind of surprised. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this guy, but
how is he making that much money?
Everyone loves this freaking guy. I can't stand it. Andre Palat, 31 years old. Went from the Tampa Bay Lightning to the New Jersey Devils. They signed him for 5 years, $6 million a year. I mean, Jesus, that they're going to regret that after like year 2. This guy,
oh my god,
I don't know. He's not.
He was an immediate beneficiary of playing alongside.
Talk about beneficiary. This guy's the biggest beneficiary on this list here. Playing on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, playing on Tampa Bay alongside
Kucherov and Stamkos.
Kucherov and Stamkos. Yeah, that's obviously going to get you points. And now he's profiting $6 million a year off of that.
Yeah, so New Jersey, they couldn't wait to rush to the free agency period to sign the banger guy that they put out there on that top line so that I mean, my God, I don't understand the contract, but he did have some good games for them last year. Last year was a pretty good year for him. Still don't think enough to warrant this type of money, but hey, people pay different to those guys that are on cup teams every year. So I guess that just earned him. And he was on top.
Same scenario as Nazim Kadri.
Yeah, except Kadri is still better.
Nazim Kadri is still better than Andre Palat, but
So
still like a cup champion coming from a team with a lot of good players around him and get $7 million to go somewhere else. And I mean, I think both of those contracts, those teams are going to regret within the next year or two.
Absolutely. I'm totally there with you. And then
this next one baffles me, dude.
Yeah, Andrew Kopp. I mean, he went from New York Rangers to the Detroit Red Wings.
How is he making $5.6 million?
$5.6 million a year for 5 years.
Sean's getting pissed.
At least he's 28. That's a little. At least he's still kind of like at the early part of his prime, and he's got some flash to him. He's had some good games in the past, where he flashed on Winnipeg here and there, and then he did really good for New York Rangers on their playoff run last year.
But worth $5.6 million for a couple flashes of joy.
Yeah, not so sure on that one. Definitely him and Palat for how much money they got. Definitely, at least I can see it a little better with Kopp with the 28 years old. But I think Detroit's going to be decent. I think he's an upgrade over what they had for sure. But I'm not sure if he's like one of those catalyst, type guys. I don't know if he drives play enough as a center. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's usually been more of a beneficiary as well.
Who's their top line center?
Oh, on Detroit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God, what's his name? He's been in the league for a while now. Oh geez, why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna find it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. But Kopp though, pretty good. Does everything. A very well-rounded center. He'll hit, he'll shoot, he'll pass. He's
Dylan Larkin. Sorry.
Yeah, Dylan Larkin. So he's definitely your second line center.
So they're paying $5.6 million for a second line center. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, pretty much for a second line guy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but they got money to burn over there. So
yeah.
They got all their young guys, on rookie deals right now. So I guess they're thinking 5 years, they'll just, by the time they have to pay Sider and those other young guys, they'll just let them go. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think this is going to propel them to like any kind of deep playoff run, but I think he's a nice player, Kopp. Yeah. Then,
okay.
Moving on, we got Andre Burakovsky. I'm kind of a fan of this guy. I like him. He went from Colorado to Seattle.
I've always been a fan of this guy.
Yeah, 5 years, $5.5 million, 27 years old.
He's going to a shitty team, dude.
Seattle got a good one here, though. I mean, Burakovsky, he's had a breakout year last year. Definitely helped Colorado, supplant their, role as one of the best teams in the league. Burakovsky was great last year.
The best team.
Yeah, the best team.
I mean, dude, he's going to such a bad team, though. It's just like, that's tough. I mean, it's a good signing by Seattle for sure.
Yeah, he'll be first line. So, I mean,
5.5 is not, I mean, I wouldn't say that's ridiculous for that pickup.
Yeah, especially 27 years old. I think he's the youngest free agent on this list,
Yeah.
I like that, and he's kind of a well-rounded guy too. He'll play defense, he'll bang, he'll shoot, he'll pass. I like him, and I think he'll be playing on the top line, top power play. He'll be with Yanni Gourde. He's a pretty decent center. I think the two of them will do something together. And even if he's not, he'll either be with Yanni Gourde or he'll be with Matty Beniers, who I'm picking as a big breakout this year. So I think either way, Burakovsky is going to be on a nice line. So
yeah,
we'll see. He'll probably score 20 plus goals easily. I think he'll be a decent sleeper pick this year in fantasy leagues.
Nice.
And then our first goalie signing, we got Darcy Kemper. Went from Colorado Avalanche to the Washington Capitals. 5 years, $5.2 million. I think he's an upgrade over what they had. And I think he's going to get a lion's share of the starts. I think he's on not as good a team as Colorado, obviously, but I think he went to a pretty good situation still, where he's got a pretty good team that's in front of him. And I think he's going to be pretty good. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, Darcy always has the potential to be, he has the potential at the beginning of the season to be a Vezina candidate. He's shown it in the past. So,
yeah.
Obviously, he regressed quite a bit last year on the Avs, but they were good enough to tow him along to the Stanley Cup. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. New team, maybe reignited.
Yep. I agree. I think he'll be good. I don't think he'll be any better or worse than last year. I think he'll just be kind of his Darcy Kemper, but just can he stay healthy? I think is the main thing.
Can he stay healthy? And I mean, the thing is he has potential to put up a season like he did on the Coyotes, but you just never know.
Yeah. And then we'll just move right along here. We got probably 6 more guys to talk about. Ryan Strome, we kind of mentioned him earlier as Trochek being an upgrade on New York over Ryan Strome. Strome just left the Rangers, signed with Anaheim, 5 years, $5 million, and I think that seems to be a little wild to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for Ryan Strome.
I'm not a big fan of Ryan Strome. He's okay. He's one of those guys. He's not going to be any kind of catalyst type of player that's going to propel you to any sort of place. I feel like on a Stanley Cup winning team, I think Ryan Strome's like a third line center.
Yeah.
That can score 20 goals, but I don't think he's a 30 goal guy. You know what I mean? And I don't think he's like a 40, 50 assist guy. So I just feel like he's more of a defensive banger guy, and he'll score you. He's talented enough to get some scoring, but he's not a big scorer. So I mean, it's a decent signing, better than probably what Anaheim had. They're trying to build still, from the basement. Strome is obviously a decent signing, I guess, for them, but I just, it's not going to propel them to any kind of, playoff run or anything like that.
Not that one specific signing.
But, maybe for fantasy purposes, he'll get maybe he'll get some minutes this year, but maybe he's a guy to watch maybe on the waiver wire when he's hot type of thing, for this season. Yeah. What do you think on Strome, Jake? You a fan?
I wouldn't draft him.
Yeah, I think he's a waiver wire guy for sure. I don't think you should draft him. It was different last
really
year.
Depends on how deep your league is.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a 12 person league. I mean, yeah, somebody will probably end up drafting him.
True. He probably will be drafted in a 12-team league, regrettably. I think it's going to be a down year for him.
Yeah, I don't even see him ranked in the top 50 centers.
Yeah, people are kind of, I think, all consistently pretty low on him this year, just because he went to a worse team.
And that's on NHL.com.
Yeah.
Fantasy rankings.
Then we got another goalie here, big goalie signing. Jack Campbell went from Toronto to Edmonton, 5 years, $5 million. I'm not so sure because they went.
It.
You like it? I don't know. I just don't think he's a volume. I don't think he can handle big workloads. And not only is he going to have a big workload,
he's going to be better than Mike Smith.
Yeah, I don't know because he's going to be facing like 50 shots a game, and I don't know if he can hold up to that.
Yeah, that's a toss up.
I don't know. I'm not the biggest. I like Jack Campbell, but I don't like him on Edmonton. I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's the best spot for him.
I don't know if being a goalie in Edmonton is a spot for anybody.
Yeah.
Wait, wouldn't this be good though?
I don't know because Jack Campbell struggled a lot at times with handling a big workload on Toronto, and now he's going to be asked to do even more in Edmonton, and he doesn't. I don't think he holds up to a starter's workload. He's not.
Especially not on Edmonton.
5 points for a win.
You do,
so
but
if he just gets carried by his team, I mean, he could still get you 7 points a night.
He's not going to get carried by Edmonton. I mean,
yeah, I don't.
He could.
Are they going to win more? Weren't they winning the second half?
They were. There's just questions on their defense. I mean, he'll be facing a lot of
games, but they win a lot of games because of the
offense.
First line.
Yeah, they win a lot of games.
So then he would still get the win then, right?
But he's going to be facing a lot of high danger chances when they're on defense, and that's where Mike Smith. He's a very flashy goalie, and he was able to make a lot of those saves. The high danger, breakaway 2-on-1 shit. Because the back end of besides Darnell Nurse, who can't play 60 minutes a game. They don't have very, very great depth at defense. And a lot of their guys don't play. A lot of their forwards aren't like two-way guys. It's changed a little bit since they got Evander Kane. He plays some defense. So it got a little bit better.
They had Duncan Keith last year, and he was good.
Keith on his last legs.
But he's done. Yeah.
They besides their top line of defense, their second and third line of defense leaves much to be desired.
Well, why is he ranked 7 going into the year's goalie?
Because a lot of people are
on Edmonton.
Just because he's on Edmonton, but I think he's going to not have a great goals against average. That's my opinion. That's one man's opinion. I'm just.
But as your second goalie, I feel like that's like if it drops because people are talking like you guys, wouldn't you want to grab him? I don't know.
Yeah, if he's your second goalie, but I think people are going to overdraft him. I think people are going to overdraft him because of Edmonton and see those rankings. If he's ranked 7, and a lot of people are looking at that, and they'll be like, "Oh, Edmonton, they're going to get a lot of wins." People will be drafting Jack Campbell, as their first goalie, and I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just, if he's going to be your second goalie, and you're getting him in like the 10th round, I'd be fine with that. But if you're looking for a goalie in like 5th round, 6th round, I'd stay away.
Okay.
Stand clear.
Yeah, so I think Sean agrees with me on that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe late rounds, second goaltender for sure. But yeah, he's going to face a lot of shots this year.
Yeah. And not just shots, high danger shots, which I don't know if he's that type of goalie. And then, I'm just going to move on from that one now. Claude Giroux went from Florida to Ottawa, 3 years, $6.5 million. I kind of like it. I mean, I think he's going to be a second line center, but I think Ottawa's going to be a nice breakout team. And I think this is. I don't know, Sean. What do you think? Is this Ottawa's Marian Hossa move?
I don't know.
I don't think so. But
you're going from one good team to another good team, and he's almost 35 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, Claude Giroux was relevant like
4 years ago.
6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he still might put up some numbers, but yeah, I'd be getting this guy late. He'll be a nice pick, like in the later rounds, probably. Decent sleeper kind of pick.
I can tell you, I would not be paying Claude Giroux at 35 years old, 6.5 million a year.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big number. I'm kind of surprised that they gave him that much, but
only a 3-year contract, so it's not like it's not a high commitment contract, but
yeah, and that kind of lines up with when they would have to pay some of these younger guys like Brady Kochuk and that, So yeah. I think that's one of where they had money to throw away, and they just wanted to get like a veteran, guy to kind of lead these young guys, probably, type of thing.
For sure.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why is Claude Giroux ranked 26 at center and Pierre-Luc Dubois is 33? Doesn't he have more upside?
People aren't high on Pierre-Luc Dubois this year. I don't know why they have him ranked that low. He should be ranked. I would have ranked him above Claude Giroux for sure. I mean, he's not a bad player, Pierre-Luc Dubois, but I think people are just down on Winnipeg Jets players in general this upcoming year. Because there's just a lot of turmoil in the organization right now. There's a lot of the fan base doesn't like a lot of the moves that they've made, and the players aren't getting along in the locker room. They don't like the coach. There's all kinds of stuff going on over there. Yeah,
they didn't have as good of a second half, but I remember Pierre in the first half was a beast.
He was, and I think he'll be good. I think he'll be good again because he's going to be wanting to get traded somewhere, so he's still going to be out there playing, putting up numbers because he wants he's begging and praying for some team to come calling to get him out of there.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
yeah,
I was just wondering.
We'll move on. I like this guy a lot. I was talking about this next guy a lot on the podcast last year. Ilya Mishiev just signed 4 years. He went from Toronto to Vancouver Canucks. 4 years, $4.7 million a year. So I don't know. What do you guys think of Ilya Mishiev? I think he's a nice, middle six forward. I think he's got lots of scoring potential. I kind of like him.
I like him. I think it's a good signing for Vancouver, but I think he's going to regress going from Toronto to Vancouver.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Vancouver is one of my big sleeper teams this year. I think Vancouver's going to be a lot better. They were really good last year after Bruce Boudreau got behind the bench. He really started getting the team some discipline to them and actually structured, which I guess he's pretty good at. He goes into these teams and he gets them structured and they actually have a system and they start doing stuff. Elias Pettersson was looking like a bust last year until Boudreau got there, and then Pettersson was putting up top 10 weeks after that, and Quinn Hughes started looking a lot better. Brock Besser started looking a lot better. The whole team started playing a lot better. So I don't know. I'm pretty high in Vancouver for this year, and Mishiev, could be a small part of that, and maybe ride some of those guys' coattails on that second line.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a huge thing, but I do like Mishiev is a nice little filling out your bench fantasy player maybe this year.
Ilya? You're talking about Ilya?
Yeah, Ilya Mishiev.
So I'm just being the rankings guy in this discussion. He's not in the top 50, and then after the top 50, they list other left wings to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not even in the 20 other left wings to consider.
Yeah,
so why is that?
Yeah, and I realize that. I mean, left wing is one of the deepest positions. Left wing and center are the two deepest positions. There's tons of good players that are center left wing.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can see why he's not, ranked with a lot of those other guys, but I still think he could be. I think if he's not one of your last picks for your fantasy roster, he'll be a guy people are adding off of waivers, a few weeks into the season if he does something.
Okay.
He's definitely lower in the rankings. He's definitely a sleeper pick of mine. He's not anybody that I'm going to go out and draft really early.
Mm-hmm.
this next guy we have, I want to talk about just a couple more guys on this list. I think 3 more guys I got. Ben Scherratt, defenseman, went from Florida to Detroit, signed 4 years, $4.7 million a year. What do you guys think of Ben Scherratt? He's a nice little defenseman, right? He's nothing crazy.
I like him a lot as like your last bench defenseman. I think he's a great sub in, and he's still averaged over 3 fantasy points. So like if that's one of your last guys off your bench, that's really good bench.
And that's if you have hitting and blocking points, because he does those. He's a banger. So
only our league, then.
If you're in just a pure points league, maybe Ben Scherratt is not somebody you're considering. But if you're in any kind of banger league that has hits and blocks points, Ben Scherratt's a decent option, like really late, for sure, for those bangs.
Nice.
I think he's a great late round pick for defenseman.
Yeah. He's kind of reliable. He reminds me a little bit of like a Chalmerson type guy, right, Sean? That type of...
Yeah. Like not a huge fantasy defenseman, but a good defenseman overall.
Yeah, that's definitely what he reminds me of, because he has some offensive pop. Like he'll go on like 2-week runs where he's like scoring like secondary power play assists, and stuff. And he'll be definitely an option then. And then like the other times, he's just Mr. Stay at home. He'll get you a couple hits, a couple blocks. Just very, very, very much a good categories league player too. This next guy might be one of my favorite sleeper picks this next upcoming year. Mason Marchment, only 27 years old, went from Florida to Dallas, 4 years, $4.5 million a year. I'm a huge fan of this guy this upcoming season. I think he's going to get more playing time. Florida was so stacked last year, with just players everywhere on all like their top 3 lines. Marchment had to scratch and claw for any kind of ice time. He was only getting like 12, 13, 14 minutes a game, and he still put up almost a point per game. Like I think he played like 40 something games, and he put up like 30 something, like in the high 30s points, at only like 14 minutes of ice time. So I'm a big fan of him maybe being on that second line on Dallas, getting like, if he can get up to like 17, 18 minutes. I think this is a really good sleeper pick that I don't know about if a lot of people are up on the Mason Marchment name, but like I think he could be a very good coming out of nowhere sleeper pick for this upcoming season, getting more ice time. What do you guys think?
I don't really know too much about him. Yeah.
Yeah, but knowing like what I said, he was only getting 14 minutes of ice time.
Yeah, and I remember watching him on Florida last year, and if he gets more ice time, he's definitely going to produce more.
Yeah, so would you guys like consider him as like a late pick, which he probably will be?
Probably not, but
okay. Because
I think he's a good waiver wire guy once he proves that he's scoring points.
Gotcha. Okay, I can see that. I'm just extra high on him because I did pick him up, like, and he really helped me in the playoffs last year. Because that's when they kind of, like, the second half of last year is when they started giving him more playing time, and he was just it seemed like every game he was getting a power play assist or getting a goal or something, and he was really good. He averaged almost 4 points in our fantasy league last year with only like 14 minutes of ice time. So I don't know. I like the guy, but I don't know if that's sustainable because it is a very small sample size too.
Yeah.
So it's
he's
definitely
being talked about as a sleeper, so I think it's warranted.
And then a lot of these other guys that are under Marchment, I don't really think we need to talk about too much for fantasy, but there is one that kind of jumps out farther down one more guy that I do want to talk about.
Klingberg.
John Klingberg. You hit it right on the head there, Jake.
Oh my God, I don't know why you love this guy so much, dude.
Yeah, he does love this guy so much.
Why wouldn't I? He's a top 15 defenseman every year.
In our league, maybe, right?
Well, in our league, yeah, we get the extra defensive point, but like he's still in a points league. He scores points. He's been a number one power play defenseman.
He's still ranked 32 in just like regular rankings.
Like,
yeah,
overall.
he's a great puck moving defenseman, and if he's going to Anaheim, he's going to have more points.
Yeah, Cam Fowler doesn't have to be your number one defenseman anymore. I mean, finally, Cam Fowler's screaming for a break. He's like, Jesus, you can't get any but young guys in here? I'm 37 years old and I'm running your power play? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, but John Klingberg is 30, so he's not exactly a spring chicken.
No, true, but, Cam Fowler can finally relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Cam Fowler's still good, though. I love Cam Fowler, but John Klingberg, though, I mean, that number one power play is wide open for him, and with these young guys, I think Klingberg finishes top 10 again this year, and I think he's a guy I'll be targeting for sure. I'm always a John Klingberg guy, and that's okay. I mean, I'll take fantasy hockey championships. I mean, that's fine with me.
Oh my God. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, but he goes from Dallas to Anaheim, and there was always a lot of, I think he could have been even better these last couple of years, but the ascendance of Miro Heiskanen was always challenging a little bit to John Klingberg, because Miro Heiskanen's Dallas's next up and coming, young superstar defenseman. So that was always challenging Klingberg's ice time and power play time these last couple of years. Like the two of them were always trying to take away from each other. So I feel like not only is John Klingberg going to Anaheim huge for Klingberg fans, like he'll probably finish top 15 again this year. I think this really makes Heiskanen like one of the top. He could be maybe a top 5 defenseman this year. Heiskanen being like the main guy in control on Dallas. What do you guys think about that?
I see him ranked 22. You think he could break top 5?
I think there's potential for it because John Klingberg was still technically the number one power play defenseman, and he was definitely taking away from Heiskanen more than Heiskanen was taking away from Klingberg. They would just give Klingberg all the more of the puck moving role because he was just the seniored, tenured guy. So Heiskanen was more of the defensive defenseman role, which Heiskanen's not really that type of player. So I feel like Heiskanen is going to have all the offense now opened up to him, and I feel like he could be a real big sleeper defense pick, even more than people are already pretty high on him.
Okay, well,
you guys got any more on Klingberg and Heiskanen?
The top 5 is Cale Makar, Victor Hedman, Adam Fox, Roman Josi, John Carlson. You think he's gonna?
Okay, yeah, I mean, probably not. I don't know.
He will not breach that list.
Yeah. Okay.
Top 15,
maybe he'll squeak into the top 15, top 10. I mean,
Devin Taves. Is number 12. I know you don't like Devin Taves.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk more about him later. But yeah, I just wanted to mention John Klingberg. Going to Anaheim. I think that's a big move. 1 year, $7 million deal. So, he'll be hitting up free agency again next year, and we'll see where he goes next year. So yeah, that's all the big free agent signings. Now we're just going to wrap it up here, going over a couple of the big off-season trades. So we're just going to talk about some of those impacts. So,
all right,
probably the biggest one of the off-season guys, Matthew Kochuk. So the Florida Panthers acquire Matthew Kochuk from the Calgary Flames for Jonathan Huberto and Mackenzie Wieger, who the Flames just signed both of them to long-term contracts now.
Dude, I don't know. I think I almost like that trade more for the Flames than I do for the Panthers.
I do, and everyone for the first few weeks of the trade was saying that the Panthers won because they weren't going to be able to re-sign Huberto, and they were like, the Flames aren't going to sign Huberto. Huberto wants to reach free agency after this season, so it's a big win for the Panthers. And then 2 weeks later, the Flames sign Huberto to an 8-year contract. So it's like there's no question the Panthers got fleeced by the Flames for this deal.
I mean, they got an elite winger and an extremely valuable defenseman.
Probably on Calgary's weak on defense. They got their top power play defenseman as well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like that trade for the Panthers.
And Matthew Tkachuk's a great player.
Not for the Flames.
Matthew Tkachuk is great, but I think the Panthers lost a lot, and they gave up a first-round pick, I think, with that too. So yeah, that's insane. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I mean, the Panthers are still going to be good because they got so much depth. They're still going to be a good team, but I don't know if they're going to be like a top 5 team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean that's really tough. It really just depends on how Kochuk fits into their scheme.
Yeah.
But you losing Huberto and Wieger in the same trade that's a blow.
Yeah,
And the Flames are going to benefit from that more than losing Matthew Kochuk, I think.
Yeah, for sure, because they finally have a Mackenzie Wieger is awesome too. He's different because he's a very good defensive defenseman and he hits a ton, but he also is a good scorer when he gets more like power play time, which I think he'll go right into that top power play role. I think Wieger could squeak into the top 15 this year as a defenseman. What do you think? I know Jake likes Wieger. What do you think, Jake?
He's really good in our league. I don't know if he's
if you're in like a banger league points league, Wieger I think is going to be
in our league. He was like a top 20 defenseman or top 15 maybe, but in regular rankings, he's still number 13 in regular, so he was definitely top 10 in our league.
They like him a lot. In hockey, a lot of people play categories leagues, so maybe they're in a categories league. Yep. Wieger's a fucking stud. I mean, that's no question. But you got to be in like a points banger league to be thinking about Wieger and other than a categories, and that's what we're in. We're in a points banger league, so
yeah.
All right.
I mean, he's a beast. I don't know what to say.
Sean had to depart for a few minutes, but Jake and I will talk about this next trade here. These next couple trades. Jake, what do you think about the Carolina Hurricanes? They acquire Brent Burns and Max Pacioretty from the San Jose Sharks.
So are they in a win now mode? Because Burns is old. I mean,
yeah, and Pacioretty's old too. They are in win. They are in win now mode. They didn't really give up too much. They didn't give up anybody off their team.
And how good were they last year? I'd have to look at the last year.
Well, Pacioretty was hurt. Pacioretty was hurt like all year, and Brent Burns was pretty good.
The
Hurricanes were good. They were one of the top 5 teams in the East, and they had Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah, they
and
were.
He was
good.
Like the number 1 power play guy.
So
they were really good. So they traded Tony DeAngelo to the Philadelphia Flyers, so that number 1 power play spot was open. And then they signed Brent Burns, or they trade for Brent Burns. So Brent Burns is going to go right into that top power play role. I think he's going to have a bounce back year.
Him up. I think that vaults him up to top 10, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it used to be.
Yeah, because he was used to always be a fixture there. Sean definitely. Sean picked Brent Burns in his top 10 rankings for defensemen. You and I didn't have Brent Burns in it, but I think he definitely could end up in the top 10.
He's ranked number 10 in regular leagues.
Yeah, a lot of people are high on him. Being the number 1 defenseman on a great team now, like Carolina, a lot of people are figuring a huge bounce back for Burns.
Wonder if the guys keep him. Who has him?
Probably that's Robbie's team, who's going to be a different player now. One of Sean's buddies from Colorado is actually going to take that team over, and I'm sure he's going to keep. I'm sure he's going to keep Brent Burns because there's not much to keep on that team. Yeah. Sad face.
All right,
but and then they also got Pacioretty, who when he's healthy, he could be an easy 30 goal plus goal scorer. So. We'll just see. I mean, he had a torn Achilles, so he's going to be out for like the first half of the season. So he'll be like an IR guy, Max Pacioretty. But when he comes back, he'll be really good for Carolina. He'll be one of those old guys that just is like a leader type of thing, and he'll score a ton.
Okay, how good in fantasy then?
He'll be pretty good. I mean, when Pacioretty does play a full season, he's usually in the top 50. So he'll score 30, 40 goals. He's a really good player, but he's been having a lot of injuries lately.
Wow. Yeah. So when would you draft him if he's out for 6 months?
Yeah, I mean he'll be a guy you draft really late and just put on your IR spot.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. We have to do our mock drafts here coming up these next couple of weeks. We'll see where they kind of have him ranked and where he kind of goes, but definitely would not be an early pick because he's going to miss like half the season at least.
Yeah. Okay.
So, this next one here, we'll talk about the Ottawa Senators. They got Alex DeBrincat from the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, I think that's a great move. It sucks for the Blackhawks. They're losing a great player like DeBrincat, 40 goal scorer. I think Senators are the clear winners of that trade. They get a 40 goal scorer. He's gonna score 40 goals Alex? Again. I'm not keeping him.
Oh wow!
Really? I couldn't. I had to keep my 2 defensemen. I had to keep Quinn Hughes and John Carlson.
I see my first pick off the board.
And I had to keep Austin Matthews and Evander Kane. So losing to DeBrincat. I wanted to keep my whole team, but I couldn't do that. So had to lose some people. But yeah, DeBrincat, he's going to be great. 40 goals. Patrick Kane's the clear loser in this because I think he's easily losing 20 assists off his total.
They're going to trade Kane mid-season?
They're going to probably trade Kane, so that prospect maybe makes Kane, just going to see where he ends up and see if he can. But if he stays on the Blackhawks the whole year, I think he's going to still be around 80-something points, but I don't think he's going to be in the 90s like he was
I didn't realize how
season.
Stacked the Senators are.
They're very stacked, yeah.
A bunch of young bucks.
Yeah, they're going to be very good this year, and I think DeBrincat's going to be that guy that puts them over the top.
Can they win it, or are they not going to pass?
I don't think Colorado they're going to win it. This is the Senators right now. They're 2009 Blackhawks. They're right at the beginning of their little window now. Definitely, if they don't make the playoffs this year, it's a huge disappointment because on paper the Senators have a shit ton of talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think DeBrincat's going to be. I mean, he's at that age where DeBrincat is still young, but he's also going to be a leader as far as all the other young players on the Senators. So I think it's a great move. I could see DeBrincat being kind of like Patrick Sharp type of move, where he just kind of scores a ton and he's like a leader, but he's still kind of young with all the guys. I really see him being like a sniper for Ottawa, and I think DeBrincat and Brady Kochuk are gonna be I think they're gonna be simpatico. I think Kochuk is really gonna love having a sniper like DeBrincat on his wing. And I'm going to be watching a lot of Ottawa Senators games this year. I think they're going to be very fun.
Wow.
And I love Brady Kochuk. Brady Kochuk he reminds me of a young Jonathan Toews. He just does everything very well. And I think he might even be a better scorer than Toews, too. I know that young Jonathan Toews was great, but I think Brady Kochuk still has 100-point potential still, and he's a great defensive player too, and a good face-off winner. I'm a big Brady Kochuk guy.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, that'll make sense to me. I mean,
yeah,
I just hope to get DeBrincat off the board.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I couldn't keep him over Austin Matthews and Evander Kane.
Yeah,
and with our league being a defensive point, extra point league, I had to keep my 2 defensemen studs. So,
God, I don't know how you're so high on Evander Kane.
How would I not be? We're in a points banger league.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, he's just a beast in our league alone. Yeah, I mean he's good in other leagues, but not like this good.
He'll get 250 hits plus, and he might score 40 goals this year.
It could. Yeah, I think you shouldn't keep him though. I think you should give him to me.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that then.
Yeah, bro.
And then our next one here, we got the Kings. LA Kings acquire and sign Kevin Fiala from the Wild. I like it. Fiala.
I don't know much about him.
Kevin Fiala, man, I can't believe he's only 25 years old. He's he's been good the last 2 years. The Wild, he's been one of the main reasons the Wild are so good. Fiala is so well-rounded.
Yeah, well, he did really good.
Super well-rounded. And he's going to get to go play with Kopitar. Old tried and true.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do with Kopitar. I think, I'm not sure. I mean, I think Kirill Kaprizov maybe at this point is a better center than, a better player than maybe playing with Kopitar now. But, I mean, I think they can do something together. And I like Fiala. I didn't realize he's only 25. I mean, he's so young and he's obviously breaking out. I think I think it's a good move for the Kings. And I think maybe the Kings make a playoff push this year. Maybe go a little further than they did last year.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize how good he was. Top 50 overall fantasy player last year.
Yeah, and the year before, I'm pretty sure as well. So it's 2 years in a row.
I had him last year, and
you didn't keep him?
I didn't sign him as a keeper, no.
Dang.
But yeah, he was extremely consistent, and he definitely had some big games for me.
Well, I've made the decision now. I'm going to up our keepers from 4 to 7. So
yeah, maybe next year.
Right now,
I'm changing. Get to vote on it.
That's ridiculous.
This is a dictatorship. So
everyone should have to redraft like 90% of their team every year.
No, I know. 4. I wouldn't go over 4.
Yeah, 4 is the right number.
Mm-hmm. Because you still draft good players with like your 5th through like 10th picks. So
yeah,
and if your team's trash, you can just not have any keepers and get all the.
That is a strategy. I don't like it though. I think everybody should be doing the same thing. Otherwise, why even have keepers if somebody's not going to keep anybody?
Because a guy like Eric came in to a team that was crap that was put together, and he had to take it over, and now he could have a chance of getting better players for keepers in the future.
True.
It's trash.
True. Okay. Maybe.
I think it's good for that. If you're a bottom team, somebody's 5th best player that is a champion might be better than your best player.
Yeah.
There's a chance that so.
All right, there's a couple more I want to talk about here.
Okay.
We'll go real quickly. Senators getting Cam Talbot. I mean, do you guys think? I mean, Cam Talbot, he's a pretty good goalie. Do you guys think that he'll? That's a great move for the Senators. They're getting their starting goalie now.
I think how weak goalie is around the league. Yeah, it's good for any team to.
I think it's good for Talbot.
Like that.
It's good for Talbot because he'll be getting like 70% of the starts now, and I think it's good for Marc-Andre Fleury.
35.
Yeah, he's old. He's been around a while, but then I think it's good for Marc-Andre Fleury as well because he'll be getting all the starts in Minnesota now. So those two guys don't have to split from each other anymore.
Nice. Yeah, so, I mean, I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't overdraft him though or anything. I mean,
I really like Cam Talbot as my second goalie if I can get him this year.
Yeah, he's ranked 18th, so he's definitely a second that you can get.
I think he'd be one of the better second goalies.
Sure. Over Alexander Georgiev now in Colorado.
I like Georgiev too. I'd be looking at either of those guys for my second goalie. I think Georgiev.
Georgiev is a really good second goalie candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'll be getting starts now, more starts. He was the backup to Shesterkin, so obviously he's only going to get 30% of the starts when you got fucking Shesterkin as your starter.
He's going to the Avalanche, and he's going to be your starter.
Yeah, they're going to give him 60% of the starts right away, and he's going to sink or swim, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean...
Because Pavel Francouz is good, too.
I don't know, dude. Pavel Francouz is so good.
Mm-hmm. He's a great second.
He's a great second, but, he proved himself so much last year that they might split more time between these guys than we think.
Might be more like a 55-45, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, if Georgiev just takes the bull by the horns and you just obviously have to give him more time, but I don't know if it'll be that way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely going to be a competition for the number one job there.
Mm-hmm. Because Francouz, he's, he wants his money too. He's going to be like, hey, don't forget about me. I helped win this cup.
Yeah, I mean, he came in clutch winning that cup a couple times.
Yeah, because Kemper had some injuries. Francouz had to start a lot of big games, and he looked great. So,
I think they're gonna have an all-out duel here.
Yeah, and then moving on next, we got the Red Wings. They trade and sign Ville Husso from the St. Louis Blues. I think that's a nice little move for the Red Wings. Husso is a nice player.
Wait, that's the same trade?
No, different trade. They got Ville Husso, goalie. The goalie that did really good last year.
Stephen Georgiev?
We just talked about him.
I was talking about him compared to Talbot, but I wanted to say...
Oh, yeah, Talbot. I was just like, I think he's just going to be really good on the Senators. The Senators
I feel like Georgiev is like the sleeper goalie.
I feel like both of them are pretty equal, at least in my mind. Okay. I think they're both on good teams. The fact
that Talbot is like 7 years older than Alexander Georgiev.
Yeah, I just feel like he'll still be good. I mean, obviously there's some old age risk, but I feel like old goalies can still be good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I feel like Georgiev ranked at 17. I feel like with the Colorado team in front of him, he could break the top 10, and you could get him late. I don't know.
Possibly
for that.
Maybe. Well, there's potential for that, but there's also potential that Georgiev doesn't handle a starter's workload very well.
Doesn't he have better... I guess he had good defenders on the Rangers in front of him. But isn't this like a better defense in front of him?
I would say overall, top to bottom, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a better defense. I mean, Colorado's one of the best defenses in the whole league.
I think that alone, and he is like a very talented young goalie. I feel like, with that in front of him, it'll make him look even better than maybe he is. And
I just don't. My thing
top
is,
10. I mean, like guys like Thatcher Demko, or
I'm not
Thatcher
sure.
Demko's ranked number 8.
I'm not sure if Georgiev. My question is, I'm not sure if Georgiev is going to do any better than Kemper did, and that was more closer to a split than you'd think it was. At least in the playoffs and the big games, like they split a lot more. Like it could probably still be a 60-40, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think Georgiev is better than Kemper, and I don't. So I mean, I think he's going to do a little worse than Kemper did. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
Next one, we got another goalie. The Red Wings getting Ville Husso from the St. Louis Blues. Ville Husso broke out last year with St. Louis after Jordan Binnington just fucking sucked for forever. Ville Husso just came out of nowhere and did great with a .920 save percentage last year, and was great for them in the playoffs as well. What do you guys think of Ville Husso going to the Red Wings? I think they got a good young goalie here.
And will this be like where he shows? Oh, you think he'll be good? Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the team in front of him, right? Will that screw him over?
I think that got better too. I mean, they have a lot of young guys coming up. They signed. I
think the Wings are going to be sneaky good this year.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Wings this year too.
So is he like your bench goalie you're going for kind of thing?
Yeah,
24, you could get him late.
Yeah, I would be looking for him around the same time I'm looking for my second goalie. I'd be looking for I might honestly take him over maybe Cam Talbot and Georgiev. I'm pretty high. I'm pretty high on Husso. I like him.
Yeah, you definitely are, for sure.
He's a good second goalie for sure.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dang.
He'll get drafted.
Yeah.
This isn't some waiver wire shit.
Sure. All right. Good to know. I could take him from you guys now. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what we're here for.
I think just a couple more to talk about. What do you guys think of the Seattle Kraken getting Oliver Bjorkstrand from the Columbus Blue Jackets?
I like Bjorkstrand, but you don't like him, so
I'm okay. He's okay. I'm not a big Bjorkstrand guy, but I think he's going to be great on Seattle now. I think he's top line. So
it's a great move for Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Sean.
They're getting better.
Draft him?
Kraken are getting better. They're still shit, but they're getting better.
Is he right wing?
I think he's right wing, left wing. He can play any wing. He'll be on the top line.
Okay.
top line, top power play, probably.
He's ranked 46 out of right wings.
That's how bad.
I mean, a lot of those guys have.
That's just because of the Kraken,
So, I don't know. Yeah, I think he'd be a great late pick.
Yeah.
I'd like him.
Yeah. So, that one's kind of just, I think he'll be good. He's a good name, They want to fill in some seats over there in Seattle.
Zach ain't drafting him. Whatever. We can move on.
What are you talking about?
You're just like, you could just tell when you're talking about players if you like them or not, just by your excitement. You're just like, oh yeah, he's there.
We got to get some butts and seats over there in Seattle,
I guess he's just there.
Yeah, that's what Zach talks about, guys he doesn't like.
He's there.
His name's Burakovsky. He's on the Kraken. He's a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's there. He's standing. He's sitting.
Yeah.
Oliver Phil McCracken.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going for him.
Yeah, so great player. Draft him, everybody. Second round.
Oh my gosh. All
right. Next, we got Toronto Maple Leafs acquiring Matt Murray. I think this is a fantastic move, don't you, Sean? I mean, Matt Murray is so good.
Oh yeah, fantastic, dude.
This is the Maple Leafs. They definitely fixed their problems in the playoffs last year. They got Matt Murray. That's a team that knows what the fuck they're doing, huh?
Yeah, they're winning the cup this year.
That's cup right there.
Yeah,
this definitely propels them to getting about maybe 2 wins in the first round now.
God, it's so sad.
It is, dude. Austin Matthews, man. I mean, geez, the way everybody talks about him, just wait till he leaves in free agency from Toronto. Everybody, I mean, they're doing everything in their power to piss the guy off, right?
I mean, the guy's obviously one of the best players in the entire league, top 3 best players in the entire league, and he's just wasting away on Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, and everybody unfairly blames Austin Matthews for all the deficiencies of the Maple Leafs. When the guy does nothing but go out there and do everything in his power.
They wouldn't be anywhere near as good as they are. They wouldn't make the playoffs without him.
Yeah, everybody's
he's the only reason that they're, I mean, obviously him and Marner, but the two of them are the only reason that team even contends.
Yeah, I agree.
But Matt Murray is going to solve all their problems.
Yeah, Matt Murray. Yeah, I don't know how they possibly thought
Matt
that
Murray,
he's
Matt Murray. Maple Leafs, he's there.
I don't know how they look at that and they think that this is an upgrade over what we had in Campbell.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's worse. I think he's a worse goalie than Campbell, and I'm not a big Jack Campbell guy. So I don't know.
Definitely worse. I mean, Matt Murray had like maybe 2 good seasons with the Penguins,
and he was carried by the Penguins.
Yeah.
I actually am a little more excited. I think, well, they did sign another goalie though. They didn't go just all on the Matt Murray train. They also signed Ilya Samsonov, who I think maybe with a change of scenery can be good. I think Samsonov's their number 1, if I was to guess. I mean, right? Wouldn't you think? Samsonov, at least.
I would put Samsonov in that before Matt Murray.
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, either one of these guys are like third bench goalies. That you would consider drafting, wouldn't you? Or do you think they're going to get higher ranked because they're on in Toronto?
I don't know. Toronto does win games because they have that explosive offense.
I think I would definitely be looking at Samsonov. I don't think I would look at Murray. I think he's Swiss cheese.
They're both extremely fringe second goalies, possibly higher level third goalies on fantasy teams.
For sure. What do you think, Jake? You looking at any of these guys maybe as like a sleeper?
Murray sucks, dude. I don't know. He's the worst. You can't even stream him. It's that bad. Like I've tried to stream him before.
And he'll hurt you.
And he still eats ass. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little excited about Samsonov, though. I think he might change the scenery, do something. Maybe he just didn't fit for whatever reason with Washington. I feel like he's still considered as a highly regarded as a talented young goalie still. I like that move. So at least they didn't put all their eggs in the Matt Murray basket. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah. Agreed.
So that, Samsonov and Murray might be a decent one too. But we'll see how that shakes out. The fact that I saw just now that they got Samsonov as well, I don't need to rail on the Maple Leafs as much. We'll move on. I'm not so sure about this move here. Flyers getting Tony DeAngelo.
What?
I like Tony DeAngelo, but I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's not a. He had everything tailor-made for him to be good last year in Carolina. He was coming there. All they asked him to do was score on the power play. They didn't care about his defense as much because they have Jacob Slavin over there to take care of that. So they could pair Tony DeAngelo with Jacob Slavin, and Slavin is good enough to play defense for Tony DeAngelo as well. And so all they were like, we just need you to come here. We need you to go on the number one power play spot. We need you to get 40 plus points for us. That's all we need you to focus on. And DeAngelo was able to do that, but he's not going to be able to do that on the Flyers. They're shit. So I mean, he's a good player. If the Flyers over the next couple of years could get some, a little better, get some of the younger guys start breaking out, and they have a good team here in a year or two, then DeAngelo becomes interesting to me because all he is a scoring guy. But I don't know. Right now, I'm not high on DeAngelo for this year on the Flyers. What do you guys think, though? I'm interested to hear your opinions on DeAngelo on the Flyers.
I mean,
go ahead.
He's going from the Canes to the Flyers, so he's automatically going to regress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not gonna take the Flyers and turn them into a cup contender or even a playoff contender.
Yeah, he like I said, he needs to go to a place where it's tailor made for him to just go in there and score. That's all he does,
All right.
I mean, you could say that about every player in the league, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying he's not a good. He does one thing.
Yeah.
And it's got the team has to be good around him for him to, do like he did last year, where he averages like over 4 and has 45 plus almost 50, points. He's a good goal scorer, so maybe, he'll go on a couple of weeks where you pick him up off the waivers because he's, getting some power play goals, but I don't think he's going to be a whole season ad like he was last year.
All right. I kind of like him, but you could probably get him late because he's switched teams and people are downranking him. And he ranked 11th in NHL at the position in points per game in 64 games. So, it's not like he can't do things on his own. I feel like he's good enough to be on your fantasy team. Just don't reach for him. Right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm worried that he's going to take a hit, but we'll see. He's definitely a good scorer, so maybe if he, maybe he can still do that, but we'll see.
For sure. All right.
And now we're kind of getting into the draft, and so I think that's pretty much all the big trades, guys. What do you think? Yeah, excited about this year, all the guys.
Yes, some of them changing. I didn't even realize Burakovsky.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about it because I feel like that. I feel like that changes, where you might rank some guys now. I feel like Bjorkstrand is he's going to be a good fantasy player. He's going to be getting tons of ice time over in Seattle, and I'm sure he's going to score some points. So that might not be a bad late round pick,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was fun, guys. What do you think? You excited for this upcoming year? All these new faces on these new teams.
Yeah, it's cool to see the league shifting around a little bit.
Yeah. So, thank you all for listening. Hope we gave you some good insight on these off-season moves and signings. And be back here for our next episode where we talk about our breakout sleeper players for this upcoming season. So you go like and subscribe, comment, tell us how we're doing, and go follow us on social media. We got Facebook, facebook.com/Garden of Sports Podcast. We have Instagram, Instagram.com/Garden of Sports. And we got Twitter, twitter.com/GOSPod2021. And we can't wait to see you back here next week with our next hockey episode. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.